G'day guys, welcome to this week's weekly developer update. I'm CW and look who we have again. Armeanio, welcome back, mate. Nice to have you again.
Good to be back. I missed the dev update.
Yeah, it's been a while, so yeah, it's great to have you back on board. But there's been a bit of turmoil in the industry of late. We've seen our good old friend Gary going after basically the exchanges the centralized exchanges in the US, being Binance and sort of Coinbase. So let's have a quick discussion on that before jumping into the dev update.
Well, first thing to recognize is Ergo is not listed on those centralized exchanges, primarily due to pricing.
Yep.
So, in a way, they've never really helped us out. So I guess I'm happy to sit on the sideline and say, well, if you did some weird stuff, you made your bed, enjoy your outcome.
Well, and that's the thing. Like we've touched on this a few times on our sort of personal chats on Hash It Out, but being a centralized exchange, being a black box, we don't know what things are happening behind the scenes, whether there's commingled of funds and who knows what's going on. So, being black boxes, obviously know your assumptions and what you're interacting with.
Yeah, it's best to be transparent. Have basically open source code or ways that users can verify what's happening. That doesn't really exist in that sphere. And so here we are building a decentralized ecosystem that's open source, and that's what the weekly dev update is all about, right?
Exactly.
People have links and asking questions, helping each other out.
Yep.
It's one of those things. I don't have a dog in that fight because number one, I don't know what the ethics or choices or dramas are there, right? And certainly after FTX, I'm not about to get in line and cheer for an exchange.
Yeah,
just not.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this time around as well, sort of talked about this in the green room. The positioning of crypto from say the previous 5 years to where we are now as an industry, and how we've evolved and become sort of like a worldwide industry, worldwide market, and the influence of say the US and the rhetoric coming from it doesn't really have too much of an impact in regards to markets too much these days.
Yeah, they say that 1 in 7 Americans, I believe of adult age anyway, hold crypto in some form.
Yep.
So that's a huge demographic there, and we're moving into an election year, so fun. Let's see how that works its way through the system. But I've always seen it that basically they're an ancillary service for blockchains. There's demand there, and so what happened after FTX? The liquidity moved. What happens if another company does? Let's say there's an issue with another big company, a new one will come. If you've been in the crypto space long enough, you've seen that. It's kind of bounced around from market leader to market leader to market leader, and the demand hasn't really disappeared. So from where I sit, I suspect that's going to remain the case, right? In which case, hopefully, if we do see new entities, pick up the reins, if there is issues, they have better assumptions. They have, some notion of, actual reserves, liabilities, risks, and hopefully they're, more open to quality projects. And some of the stuff that these exchanges list is
outright garbage.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
I said it. It's okay.
Yeah, that's nicer than what I was thinking. So
I was being PC. All right, mate. Well, you touched on it. Let's jump into this open source sort of discussion around the developer update. So let's transition into that.
All right. Let's
kicking things off. We have an earlier update from Arco on the Erg Explorer. So just in short, some smart contract transaction summaries. There's also the NFT previews in token and address views. Views represented in a nicer way. It's also added token icons. There's some search improvements. And also, congratulations, the raffle's been fully funded. So thanks to everyone who was able to support that. And then next up, better token search by name. So thanks to QX for a great idea on how to implement it. And then some more advanced token search options by filter. So for example, NFT type, only NFTs, hide NFTs, include NFT descriptions in the search, etc. And then some sorting. So if you want to check it out, you can look at the repo, the link provided.
Yeah, great work, Arco.
Yeah.
All right, who we got next? It looks like we have Alex.
Yep.
Looks like the Ergo protocol research and reference client development 5.0.12 is finalized and merged into master. He's going to do a release after a few more tests. Back to updating sync info. That will be released in 5.0.13. And bootstrapping with NIPoPoWs. That's a huge update for us.
Well, let's have a bit of a chat about those, both the 0.12 and or 0.12 and 0.13. The 0.12, 0.12, that's implementing the UTXO set snapshot. So do you want to just give us a bit of a rundown on what that means?
Sure. So basically, you're creating an environment where you can rapidly sync your information. There's clients out there like Ethereum Go is something that some people may be familiar with, where your ability to sync a node, let's say previously, depending on your bandwidth and your device, sometimes was an overnight job, right? And we're getting to the point where that can happen under an hour. So that rapid sync encourages people to run infrastructure, right? And it's something that I don't know has kind of faded, I guess, from like the front mainstream viewpoint of crypto quite a bit. Like, hey, you should run your own node and check the chain and have, let's say, the best assumptions you can have as kind of a local host, be a part of the network, right? And we've seen a lot of transition away from that to where everybody loves to talk about decentralization, but nobody wants to actually run any right? So it's kind of a goofy thing if you think about it.
Yeah. The cool thing I like about it is being able to bootstrap quickly, but then also provide the infrastructure, say, like the node indexing. So making calls directly to your node for running, I don't know, DAppX or DAppY and things like that. So having that interaction directly from your PC run locally, interacting with the blockchain, not going through sort of a centralized front end, like a website, for instance. It's pretty cool being able to run that sort of infrastructure also.
And you can extend it out to your phone, and let's run a light wallet that runs on your own node, and there's a lot of cool ways you can actually actively support decentralization instead of it being a and it's a great step forward in terms of lowering that barrier of entry.
Yep. And that sort of ties into now the 0.13 with the NIPoPoWs. So in combination between the two, extremely fast bootstrapping, running things on, like, say, SPV clients on small devices, say phones, possibly even watches now, the power that those things sort of run. We saw Ergo Tizen in ErgoHack. I'm sure they can utilize this sort of technology also.
Yeah. So we get the question, when's the node going to be on the refrigerator, right?
Yeah, soon. All right, I think we can continue now.
Sure. It looks like he's reviewing Sigma 5.0.8, reviewing the P2P layer for some more potential denial of service vectors. With Dexy, the redemption fee has been implemented. The payout script is implemented. The team is working on extraction backend part and polishing the UI, working on a presentation as well for the Ergo Summit. That's coming up here in less than a month. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, and watch this space. There's some pretty interesting videos coming out. So not only people within our ecosystem, but external as well, touching on a range of topics. Everyone within the ecosystem as well, number of dApps and people, Sigmanauts, etc., wanting to jump on and provide content. So it's going to be our biggest summit yet. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. Okay, next up we have greenhat, and on his progress has added pool health endpoint to the REST API for monitoring the pool status. Has added the Oracle health endpoint to the REST API once again for monitoring the Oracle status. The work in progress is exporting the health metrics to Prometheus and Grafana, and then also a sneak peek of the metrics so far. So then we'll continue with the Prometheus metrics and test the pool box top up from the buyback box for the gold Erg pool on testnet. Awesome. Check out that little image there for the metrics.
All right, it looks like next we have Fanta. Looks like he recreated vanitygen for Ergo to generate addresses with specific prefixes and suffixes.
Nice. Can't remember. Oh, someone in the Ergo hack was doing that, but for, I think it was token IDs. I can't remember who that was. I'd have to look into it. Okay, next up, Rosen Bridge, and MHS has another substantial update once again. On the Watcher side, has started the refactoring phase for the front-end projects. So starting with the Watcher client, they're going to use Next.js for all their clients. The configuration of Next.js is almost done, and they'll start migrating the old vanilla React source to Next.js in the upcoming days. So on the Watcher front, the clients are just a wrapper around the main CLI-based services. So Rosen Bridge Watcher for this one, which will enable the users to interact with the service easily through the GUI. On the guard services, started involving roll-up build tool to the project as part of their effort to publish the plug-and-play executables for Rosen projects. Unlike the Watcher, they're going to be adding the build tool to the project, so it has some prerequisites which they're working on. They've also refactored the version of the event processor, so it's tested and available in GitHub. There's some minor bug fixes that have also been found and fixed. There was a weird issue with the incompatibility in the Ergo libwasm Node.js version, which was solved. So you can read about it in the Sigma Rust thread on the dev tooling. There's also refactoring of the TX agreement module has been started. Then on the minimum fee for Rosen Bridge, they've updated the project to use the Ergo Explorer client. In the Rosen chain side of things, it's also added thoughts about adding Ergo Node, but also there's no simple API to get the boxes by token ID. API needs the address also. So there's no efficient way to do that now. It's also not a priority. And also improved the updated project structures and unit tests. So back onto the Rosen Bridge Watcher side, continued working on the APIs, observations, events, and withdraw APIs, which are now done. And then to create revenues API, they need to add some features to the scanner project. Then onto that scanner, so the Watcher data extractor worked on storing transaction ID along with permit boxes. This way they can join events and permit entities to have the data revenues API. Also, we'll need to add timestamps for revenue chart, so either on the scanner itself or the data extractor. MHS and his team are full steam ahead on that front.
Yep, looks like next we are getting an update from Morphic. With Sigma, the Sigma SDK version 5.0.8 has been released. With the Ergo node, some optimizations and improvements, plus update to publish Sigma 5.0.8. Reviewed Ergo node 5.0.12 release candidate. In miscellaneous, so you finished an article about Chat GPT plugin for Ergo node. It's been submitted to Hacker Noon for review. At this point, it's been published. I actually have not had a chance to read it yet, but I have the link saved.
Yeah, I've got the tab open also. I have to give that a read.
Yeah, so it's on my menu for tomorrow. Looks like next up, prepare the next Sigma PR for review. Implement multi-sig and app kit based on EIP 11. Awesome.
Yep, awesome. Happy days. And MHS is continuing with the Rosen Bridge update. So miscellaneous, there's even more R&D on the EVM-based chains. So they've grasped the main idea for involving such chains in Rosen, but there still exists some problems which need to be solved. During the discussions with potential guards, they found that there is a need for multi-key guards. So i.e. one guard entity with multiple keys. So this will open the gate for a DAO or team-based guards. So they're researching the possible solutions. However, in the short term, they'll probably dedicate 3 keys to each guard in the simplest manner. So each guard entity will have 3 independent guard services with 3 different keys. These keys can be owned by different members inside the guard entity. As more sophisticated approaches seem possible and research on them will be added to the roadmap. And then finally, there's a proposal for Catalyst Fund 10 on Cardano. So it's prepared and under revision. Details to be public later. Interesting concept having multiple entities there for the guard. So you've got a decentralized guard set or a decentralized group of actors, which then each individual entity is even more decentralized, having a larger key set there.
Yeah, it's, redundancy and distribution, right? That's a good security practice.
Yep.
I can see why, let's say we had, Armeanio CW DAO, why we both may want to have a key, right?
That's it. Overruling.
Looks like next we have Captain Nemo. So on the Nautilus side, Wallet Optimizer has put a limit of 200 inputs for regular wallets per optimization transaction, and put 200 limits or 200 inputs and 20 distinct tokens for ledger wallets per the optimization transaction. On Fleet SDK, released Alpha 30, added ensure selection all parameter to input selector, added UTXO filter function. Breaking change, you renamed UTXO sum result diff to UTXO diff and added support to box T, raise as params on UTXO diff.
Yeah, awesome. Having that 200 input, having it a bit raised, I think it's double of what the Ergo wallet has currently. So yeah, having a wallet that's basically a minor wallet or something that's previously run, like the Oracle service or something like that, where you've got a plethora of UTXOs sitting there trying to consolidate those. It's a pretty timely operation. So having a bit more there, redundancy there, make that process a little bit easier. Okay, next we have Luivatra and the Paideia beta. So it's created the staking endpoints. So staking is now being integrated into the front end by Noob. Also deployed the new services onto their servers, and now working on integrating the proposal and voting parts. So watch this space.
Yeah, looks like LGD is back with a pretty broad update. He's been busy.
Yeah, awesome. It's very busy.
So let's start with GuapSwap, working on V2 again, using the learning from other projects he's worked on to make it better. Sorry for taking so long, got busy with life stuff. That is life, my friend, no worries. Looks like they got a new website. Everybody feel free to check that out. And they're running an official GuapSwap mainnet test nodes, not mining yet. So they've dropped a link to the testnet and the mainnet node. He's asking Kushti, would it be interested to include Dexy? but not sure if that would be through Spectrum or Erg Dexy liquidity pool or Dexy protocol itself. Interesting question.
Yep.
And then asking Ilya from Spectrum. We would be interested in developing a version of GuapSwap on Spectrum Network. Would it be possible to get any info on doing something like that? Those of you don't know, Spectrum is kind of building their own layer 2 network. So it would actually be really cool if miners could interact with that layer 2 and, potentially mine swap multiple assets. So I'm curious how that takes off. That's some interesting utility.
Mine multiple tokens plugged into that L2, and pretty interesting use case.
Yeah. Next with Blitz, redesign part of the card token burning and Blitz token emission protocol. Aim to start the TX processing bot next week. Awesome. And with Lilium, building up to mainnet launch this week, offered additional features to artists where they can whitelist tokens, mint NFT for free, pre-mint tokens, mint NFT before official sale period begins, but paying full price, and asset choice for payment of NFT. Pay for NFT using custom native assets instead of just Erg. So that gives some utility potentially to other tokens in the ecosystem. Nice to see.
Yeah.
Busy.
4 projects there, and churning away. Okay, we have Noah here providing an update from the duckpool boys. So Kras has forwarded the latest version from Kras. So wanted to have private testing live by this update. However, did experience a few setbacks this week, which they've now overcome. In testing the larger contract values, they found a minor problem. When they fixed them, they ran into the current limitation of Ergo v5. So it required some small redesign of the contracts and additional testing, which they've now completed. They've also found some runtime issues with the refunds on the proxy contracts as they needed updating to match the new pool contract. Again, that's now been fixed. And overall, they're about halfway through the testing checklist. So when complete, they will provide another update when private testing begins.
Awesome. All right, next we have Aberg. Looks like our favorite cat dev is back. He published a new tool yesterday, simply named Yoroi Ergo Wallet Recover, because Yoroi is completely broken down and can't do anything Ergo related anymore. Users cannot make transactions. So for people that have lost their seed phrase but are still logged into their wallet in Yoroi, they can use the tool to decrypt their wallet using their spending password and transfer everything to a new wallet. Awesome. And hopefully their new wallet is Satergo wallet, right?
Full node.
Looks like the Ergo Pay test version was released to a branch on the GitHub repository. This will allow Satergo users to use dApp DeFi things like Spectrum, ErgoPad, etc. New release soon. And I'm going to reiterate that, if those of you out there that may have gotten rugged by Yoroi, if you're able to transfer, you should really think about thanking Satergo by supporting what he's doing and download 100%. As well.
Definitely. Simple executable full node, double click and away you go. Couldn't be any easier. Okay, speaking of Ilya, I just touched on a little bit earlier on the Spectrum network side of things. On the Sigma aggregations, now fully tested, and on the non-Byzantine 100% threshold case. So now testing in Byzantine setting. So the elliptical curve verifiable random function, ECVRF, is implemented. That's a mouthful. It's also implemented the lottery function for selection validator committees, committee members, and the committee leaders based on the ECVRF evaluation results. So on Spectrum Finance on the Cardano side, they prepared the AMM bots, Node, and Explorer. And then on the front end, on Cardano side, once again, fixed the change computing in the transaction builder and also fixed the Cardano transaction math. Elliptical curve verifiable random function.
It looks like Aberg is back. I forgot to drop the link for the Yoroi wallet recovery tool. There it is. Everybody can check it out. Link it to the GitHub if you need it. That's a pretty powerful thing to have.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, moving on, we have dEathgripson, an analog Ergo. So it's completed the proof of concept swap completely through a custom GUI with the swap initiator on Ergo testnet and responder on Sepoiler testnet. So it's added basic README documentation for building and running the Lgaml atomic swap client. Then also some features wants to add custom ferrate from the GUI, static right now, looped execution and atomic claim operations. It's also manual. Threaded executions in general, so to prevent the GUI from freezing, and better error handling and messaging. So user-facing errors pop up instead of the command line dumps. There's a refund option, currently only built into the contracts, not the GUI, so it can probably be part of the looped execution. Has added nano erg functionality to the erg scripts and then to the GUI after. So it's also posting updates as it goes in the Analog Ergo channel on Discord. If you want to follow along, jump in there. We'll be looking for people to help test soon. So if anyone's interested, by all means, reach out in the coming weeks. And finally, Lgmeister.
All right. Looks like a quick update what they've been up to on ErgoGames. Check it out if you have a moment. And so they dropped a medium update.
Jump on the link. I don't think there's anything else. It just goes onto the chatter and regular sort of discussions throughout the week.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning into the developer update, mate. Pretty interesting update and a lot of in-depth updates also. LGD back on the tools, I guess you could say, and jumping in 4 projects under his belt and diving head first. That's a pretty interesting use case. Like we touched on, and running GuapSwap on, say, a L2 or having that integration into the Spectrum network itself, that'd be pretty interesting.
I've always thought GuapSwap is a pretty awesome tool. And, I hope that once Rosen pulls some more assets onto the Ergo ecosystem, it gives miners some really neat potential options to mine, wrapped assets. And, you can do a lot of cool swapping mechanisms there.
Yeah, the thing I love about it, you can mine portfolios. So you could have an allocation for, say, 50% Erg and, 10% Ergo pad and you name it sort of thing. So, really interesting sort of use case there, and a way for miners themselves to diversify themselves across the crypto spectrum. No pun included.
Right.
All right, guys, it's been a pleasure, Joe, once again, chatting and bringing this developer update to everyone. Hope everyone enjoys this episode, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, it's 1:40 a.m. here. I'm ready for bed.
Oof. Go get some rest. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Good one, everybody.